The first bottle arrived in early spring, drifting in on a tongue of broken ice that clinked against the basalt ledge below Split Rock Light. Elias Rourke spotted the green glass from his watchroom, where he was scribbling wind speeds into the midnight log. At dawn, he climbed down the graded steps, hooked the net he used for gull-snared fishing line, and coaxed the bottle ashore. Inside lay a single sheet, folded with crisp deliberation, ink unblurred despite the thaw. The handwriting was a lean, star-shaped scrawl. To the keeper of Split Rock Light, March 11th, lat 47 or 13N, long 90-33W, approx. You do not know me, but your lantern swept the sky above Grand Portage last night, and through my telescope it looked like the arc of a comet. I thought you might wish to know how far its reach travels, across 30 miles of black water, and a mind worn thin by winter. Thank you for that unexpected beam. Marin Kessler, shore watcher and amateur star herder, P.S. If Lake Superior feels indulgent, she will return this bottle to you. If she keeps it, I'll try again. Elias read the note twice, the cold March wind riffling its edges. Grand Portage sat almost due north, across a corridor of water, where ore freighters cleaved seasonal scars in the ice. He pictured a woman, though Marin could be any shape, holding a telescope on a clapboard veranda, watching his beacon wheel through snow fog. Most people regarded a lighthouse as a utilitarian pulse, on to warn, off to reset. The idea that someone perceived beauty in the interim glass glimmered inside Elias like a struck match. He dried the bottle, wrote a reply, and waited for the day's swell to crest. Past noon, he set his return message afloat, tucking it between plates of slush so the ice would ferry it outward before daylight dissolved. Dear Marin, I am Elias, last resident keeper assigned to Split Rock after the service automated 36 stations. I stay because the tower cannot refuel itself, and the Coast Guard admits the lake is meaner than its budget. Your note found me at a useful hour. I had begun to think no one saw the light anymore, except gulls and winter freighters. If this bottle reaches you, send me a star fact in exchange. E.R. He signed with initials, uncertain whether full names carry too much gravity over water. The ice dispersed. 3 weeks passed with no answer. By mid-April, days lengthened enough for Elias to eat supper under a sun still clinging to the spruce silhouettes. He took the oil can up the tower stairs, humming against the echo of his boots, and wondered if the lake had swallowed his letter. Then, on the first clear evening in May, a new bottle surfaced at the foot of the Boulder Beach, escorted by gentle rollers. Star fact: if Betelgeuse replaced our sun, its edge would stretch past Jupiter. Seems absurd, yet we ignore our own improbable good fortune every sunrise. I received your initials, Keeper E.R. I imagine them as evening radiance, though Elias Rourke also pleases the tongue. Thank you for asking. Questions for you. 1. Do lighthouse keepers still ring bells in fog, or is the sound an artifact of novels? 2. Is it lonely doing a job designed to be invisible when successful? Monsieur Elias laughed aloud. Rusty sound, like clearing soot from the flue. He answered the questions that night, describing the modern foghorn compressor, the frequency schedule, the presence and absence that coexist in every flash the light throws. He wrote longer than intended. When he finished, his hand cramped, but his mind felt aired out. Thus began the season of glass epistles. Over summer, the lake's mood calmed. Twice a month, maybe 3 times, if the currents cooperated, green or brown or cobalt bottles arrived at Split Rock or departed for Grand Portage. Elias learned that Maureen was 32, taught high school mathematics, and operated her grandfather's battered refractor telescope from a cedar deck facing south. She sketched star charts in pencil, logged meteor showers for a citizen science network in Duluth, and maintained a deep suspicion of clocks. "The sky ignores hours," she wrote. "We should too, but alarms drag us back, like unruly leashes." Elias revealed that he was 38, grew up in Iron Range country, and had assumed his post after a wildfire scattered his previous life in Superior, Wisconsin. He admitted an old fear of deep water, yet found serenity atop it if elevation existed between him and the waves. Marin's reply, "Fear is sometimes intimacy, wearing an inside-out coat." By late July, they were trading recipes. Wild rice porridge with dried cranberries from Elias, smoked herring hash from Marin, alongside tales of shipwrecks, constellations, and childhood griefs. The correspondence acquired rules. Each letter must contain 1. A question, 2. A detail sensed within the last 20 hours, and 3. One useless yet marvelous fact. Marin's detail: "Tonight, the Milky Way looks like someone spilled sugar on black velvet, then blew it sideways." Her useless yet marvelous fact: "Octopuses have taste receptors on their skin." Elias's detail: "Nighthawks dove so near the lantern glass, I felt their wing vortex through the panes." His useless fact: "Lake Superior contains 10% of Earth's fresh surface water." When September painted the birch in rust, Elias proposed a variant. "How about we both record the same lunar eclipse next week? You on the North Shore, me on the South. We can compare notes and see if the lake alters the view between us." Marin agreed, giddy as script permitted. On the appointed night, they watched the Earth's shadow engulf the moon, turning it copper like an embryonic sunrise. Elias thought of Marin's eyes, a color he did not know, yet imagined mirrored that eclipse. His bottle to her the next morning included a sketch, charcoal shading of the reddened moon above the beacon, and beneath it, 3 words he deleted, rewrote, deleted again before finally leaving intact: "I missed you." The autumn storms rolled in. Superior's temperament shifted from hospitable to savage with the imprecision of a flipped coin. Currents reversed in sudden seeches, miniature tides generated by barometric leaps. Bottles began arriving quicker, sometimes in both directions within 48 hours, as if the lake wished to coil their invisible line tighter for winter. Marin: "The water is tugging harder. I tied this bottle to a scrap of red ribbon, so you'll know it is mine even if the note turns to pulp. Does the south wind howl the same pitch at your tower?" Elias: "Yes, but it funnels through the lens room like a cathedral organ. I hum along in minor key so the glass does not shatter from surprise. Halloween delivered snow flurries." Elias lit the stove in the keeper's house for the first time in months. He reread every letter, stacking them chronologically, until the pages felt like a second insulation under the roof. He composed a new question: "Would you ever cross the water and let me introduce you to the Fresnel lens in person?" He hesitated. Ice would soon lace the channel, ferries would cease, and private craft flirted with suicide this late. But the urge moved through him with the inevitability of the lamp's rotational gear. He corked the letter, kissed the glass neck for luck, and released it at dusk. 3 days passed, then 5. On the 6th, at first light, a bottle lay stranded high on the rocks, ribbon dulled to brick brown. "Elias, yes, but I am frightened of water I cannot see into. My father drowned beyond Isle Royale when I was 14. His body never returned. The lake spares bone or returns it at whim. Still, yes, if winter waits, if you meet me halfway, there is a small fishing trawler, the Cassiopeia, that runs until freeze-up. I can secure passage to Silver Bay on November 20th. Will the lights stay on for me? Under the signature, Marin sketched a compass rose, its northern point elongated like an arrow. Elias checked the calendar. November 20th sat 13 days away, a lifetime in November weather, where each dawn could birth ice thick enough to seal harbors. Yet the idea of seeing her silhouette on the pier line ignited a quiet, steady blaze inside him. He replied, "The light will stay on, and so will I. If the Cassiopeia cannot cross, I will light a second lamp on the beach as low beacon. Come when safe. If not, spring will keep the promise in escrow." He couldn't send the bottle soon enough. Storms boxed him in for 2 nights. When the wind finally slacked, he waded past knee-deep shelf ice to launch the missive. The water gulped it greedily, as if in pact. Days shortened. Elias polished brass until his reflection acquired dull rings under the eyes. He brought extra kerosene upstairs, checked the generator backup twice a shift. On the morning of the 19th, gale warnings blanketed radio frequencies. 20-foot combers, battered oarships, running for Duluth. Elias stood on the gallery balcony, coat hood snapping, and counted lightning forks. He imagined Marin on the far shore, packing a canvas duffel, peering at the color of the sky the way some read scripture. That night, he wrote a contingency letter, sealed it, but kept the bottle on his desk. He did not want the lake to carry doubt. November 20th broke colder than any day so far, yet windless. Superior lay deceptively docile, a cat flattening whiskers before pouncing. The keeper unfurled signal flags from the mast, welcome, safe harbor, though only ghosts and gulls might witness. He descended to the jetty by noon, scanning blue-gray distances until optical illusion conjured ships from white caps. At 14:17 hours, he spotted a dark hull edging the horizon, profile modest compared to freighters, bow-cutting cautious chevrons. Through binoculars, he read the stenciled name, Cassiopeia, his breath left in a plume. The trawler eased into the cove at 15:04, engines chuffing. A deckhand tossed line. Elias secured it. Marin stepped onto the pier, wearing a rust-colored peacoat that caught the lamplight's reflection. Her eyes were not eclipse red, he discovered, but a green glazed with northern dusk. Complex, restless, neither spoke for a stretch. Then Marin removed a small bottle from her coat pocket. It was empty, except for a single pine needle. "I promised the lake one more traveler," she said, voice rough like fieldwork chalk. "Proof we made it across." Elias took the bottle, touched her gloved fingers. "Payment delivered," he replied, and twined his arm with hers. They toured the tower first. Solemn rite. Elias demonstrated how the lamp revolved on its mercury float, how prisms harnessed light into parallel knives. Marin pressed her palm against the metal pedestal, feeling the steady heat from the wickless bulb. Modern, but still intimate. "Bright things survive by movement," she murmured. "Stop turning and you go dark." Is that an astronomer's aphorism? More of a human one. Below in the keeper's house, Elias ladled venison stew into enamel bowls. They ate at the kitchen table, while dusk folded itself outside the window. Conversation ranged from meteor showers to classroom pranks, lighthouse folklore to their shared habit of memorizing shipping forecast phrases, waves occasionally 14 feet, as if they formed secret poetry. Afterward, they climbed back to the gallery. Night had laid a ballroom floor of ice crystals across the lake. Stars perforated the sky so densely they seemed to press lower. A dome of braille only fingertips away. Marin set up a tripod she'd carried in a canvas tube. The old refractor gleamed like a brass spine. She fitted an eyepiece, motioned Elias over. "See that smudge between Andromeda and Cassiopeia?" she asked. "I know the smudge. Always thought it looked shy. Tonight you get to meet her properly." She adjusted focus. Behold another galaxy, 2 million light years distant. "Our letter bottles would take a while," He looked, eyes watering from cold, and the Andromeda galaxy resolved into a faint, pinwheeled ghost. A chill beyond wind coursed through him. Wonder's side effect. Elias straightened, found Marin's gaze already on him. The lantern's radial flash lit her cheekbones every 5 seconds, turning the moment into slow-motion flicker pictures. In a world that insisted on dark, between pulses, they shared the interim light. He reached for her glove, pulled it slowly, gave her the option to resist. She did not. Bare hand found bare hand, skin chilled yet sparking. "Promise me something," she said. Voice now quiet enough for star ears only. "If the lake ever keeps one of our letters, we write all the harder." "Deal," he answered. "But I'd rather not test her jealousy tonight." They laughed, exhaling clouds that merged into the wind's fleeing breath. The trawler's captain agreed to berth overnight, citing a pressure drop he did not trust. In the spare room, Marin hung her coat over the back of a chair and traced moonbeams across the floorboards, mapping orientation before sleep. Elias lay awake in his own narrow bed, listening to water rattle the flag halyards against the tower rail. The sound had always spoken solitudes. Tonight, it resembled a lullaby, performed by invisible percussion. Sometime before dawn, the gale returned with fury. Sheets of sleet slammed the windows, and the tower groaned. Elias sprang up, slipped boots on, hurried to the engine room to double-check power. The generator's hum remained steady as heartbeat. He climbed to the lantern to adjust shutters against wind-driven ice. A flash of movement startled him. Marin, bundled in blanket, following. "I couldn't sleep with her tantrum," she shouted over the howl, nodding at the storm. They stood tight within the lantern room's ring of glass. Outside, chaos. Inside, a single incandescent core traced circles on snow veils. Marin set her hand on the lens frame. "Imagine if we could send our bottles this fast." He smiled. "We would miss the anticipation." Lightning cracked, illuminating the lake's surface, swirling like hammered lead. In the stroboscopic flicker, they saw ghost freighters steaming across decades. Elias thought of the father Marin lost, how a body could dissolve into legend inside those troughs. He touched her shoulder. "I'm sorry for your father," he said simply. She leaned into him. "Tonight, I think he might be standing on some deck out there, raising a lantern back." They remained until storm energy receded. Minutes, hours, time skewed. When calm finally unrolled, first blush of sunrise seeped under the clouds. "You turn the light off at daybreak?" Marin asked. "Automation dims it, but I still like to be here to nod goodbye." They watched dawn pale the sky to pewter, then pearl, then soft blue. The lamp extinguished, one heartbeat of darkness, and daylight claimed dominion. Later, after hot coffee and shared silence, the Cassiopeia's captain announced a narrow weather window for return. Ice would advance midday. They must depart or risk entombment. Marin packed slowly, but without drama. At the pier, she and Elias regarded each other with the odd calm of people who have already decided something unspoken. "I'll come back in spring," she said, "if the lake approves." "It will." He handed her a fresh bottle, empty. "For the voyage. Fill it with whatever words the trip uncorks." Marin slipped it into her duffel, then stepped closer. They kissed, light and sure, the breeze snatching warmth off their lips and flinging it skyward like embargoed embers. The trawler motored away, hull carving a silver wake. Elias watched until its silhouette merged with horizon glare. He headed into the tower, logged weather, trimmed wick, performed tasks his hands memorized, while his mind floated alongside that retreating vessel. 3 days of gale followed, then calm. On the 4th morning, a bottle beached below the ledge, recognizable by Marin's red ribbon, though salt white with frost. He lifted it gingerly, Carried it inside, thawed glass near the stove. The cork released with soft sigh. The note, keeper of my favorite light. The churn was brutal, but the captain swore. We surfed thunder. I tasted snow on the waves. Mother Superior tried to pocket this bottle twice. I believe she is curious about us. You asked for a star fact. It takes 8 minutes for sunlight to reach Earth. It took me 8 hours to reach you, and 8 hours home. So I measure distance now in U-blinks. Let the winter letters continue. In spring, the lake will surrender her ice, and I will stand again beneath your rotating corona. Until then, every time the moon rises, know I am somewhere mapping her shadows and placing you at each terminator. MPES. Taste the paper's edge. I dried it in smoked alder. Consider it olfactory punctuation. Elias lifted the sheet to his lips. Indeed, alder fragrance lingered, faint but resolute. Evidence of mundane miracles. Trees flavoring words. Water fairing hearts. A lighthouse's beam found comet beautiful by a stranger who now was no longer strange. He sat at the desk, uncapped pen, and began his reply. Outside, the lake breathed beneath new ice, restless but patient, as if rehearsing which currents would carry their next messages, and already plotting the bends that would nudge 2 bottles, 2 people, closer with every season.